All right, how's it going, everybody? I hope this is better for you guys. I was recently, actually, hold up, I gotta do one more thing. What are we gonna call this chapter? Damn it, I didn't even title this. Fuck. Give me 1 second, we'll get started on this stream. Um, all right, yeah, sorry about that. Okay, we're welcome back to Umineko. We're good continuing off where we last left off just a little bit. Got a little bit further on my own. And let me tell you that that's going in an interesting direction. But for right now, we're gonna jump right back into where we were. Last left off, they were on the beach, I believe, and Maria had just given them a couple charms to help protect them against the magics of Beatrice, because they had been slighting, like, no, they weren't doing it sincerely, but they were saying some negative things that Beatrice might not exist, and then Maria here gave him some charms. Wear it on your arm when you want your heart to be at peace. Put it in your wallet, and your money won't decrease. If you hang it from a doorknob, bad things can't get in. It's a really convenient charm. What an incredible effect. If Maria Sama gives it her confident seal of approval, then it surely must be reliable. Um, so I might be a little bit, I think I was a little bit past this, but I had to I accidentally saved over myself, my game, so I had to get back here, and that took a little while. So, um, I'm pretty sure we've already read some of this already, and that it was starting to rain, and they were going to make their way back to the mansion. So if you just excuse me if reading a few couple lines, you get to hear more of this amazing music. Uh, I don't my last couple streams, I was told my mic might have been muted a little bit, so please let me know if this is any better. But I was commenting as how this one of the great things about this game is just the soundtrack. It really puts you in the mood you need to be in for some of these like heartfelt moments and when the intense moments happen, and and I don't know, it gets you just in the right mood for the scene you are about to witness. Shan and Chan clapped her hands together and Maria struck out her chest. She was in good mood again. Probably best if we let her lead the conversation a bit longer if it keeps her in such a good mood. Come to think of it, she looked a bit bored when we were getting excited about the hidden gold. Probably because she couldn't keep up. While eating the cookies Kumasawa-san had baked, Jessica and I asked Maria this and that about black magic. Maria happily chatted away in response to our questions. Each time, George Anaki and Shannon-chan would act surprised or chime in. The clouds in the sky grew darker and darker, but we cousins really enjoyed communicating freely after a year of separation. Did I feel a drop on my forehead? Huh? I wonder. As George Anaki rubbed his forehead, he looked up at the sky. Considering the color of the sky and the dampness of the air, it shouldn't have been odd for a raindrop to hit him. The wind also seemed to have grown a bit stronger. Oh, I didn't feel the drop. Only I didn't? Oh, don't worry, neither did I. Anyway, I'm sure it will rain so much tonight that everyone will get plenty of raindrops. That's right. Maybe we should head back soon. Shannon-chan looked up down at her watch. It was probably well into the evening by now. It's already time for you to return to work? Yes. Thank you very much for allowing me to enjoy some time together with you all. Tell Kumasawa-san thanks for the cookies. Okay, everyone. How about with the cleanup? Shannon-chan declined our help, saying that it was a servant's job. But picking up dropped forks before the waitress is pretty much my only purpose in life. We folded up the blanket and gathered up the trash, and helped clean everything up. Oh, the trash is getting away. Oh. I won't let it escape. I'll grab it before Maria does. Oh, I'll grab it. Oh. Maria, don't get your shoes wet. You'll get in trouble. To Maria, chasing after some trash sent flying by powerful winds was just another game. By the time we finished, the wind was blowing pretty strongly. Probably a good time to head back. You've all helped me out a lot. Thank you very much. It looks like you're really out of time. It's okay if you head back first. George Aniki perceived from her hurried appearance that very little of her free time was left. Genji-san's very strict about time. If you don't show up where you're supposed to be at the right time, I bet he'll be pissed. We'll see you later. Do your best with your work. Yes. Then, if you'll excuse me. After making a respectful bow, Shen and Chan ran towards the rose garden. Okay, let's head back to the guest house. We could watch TV or something and relax a little. Oh, wanna watch TV? Wanna watch TV, ooh? Then it's decided. Let's all head back and watch TV together. Maria, who wasn't done having fun, agreed once the television was mentioned. We climbed up on the gentle stairs and returned to the rose garden. The wind had grown very strong, and the roses shook throughout the garden like ripples on the water. This might be our last chance to see these beautiful roses. I'll bet tonight's typhoon ruins them. The roses might be done in by tonight's winds. You're right. Still, I think the roses were pretty lucky. After all, they got to welcome all of you before the typhoon. All flowers lose their petals eventually, but that means we can admire them even more when they're in bloom. That's right. Maria, burn this image into your eyes. At this moment, they're the best roses of the year. Oh, burned into my eyes. Right then, Maria suddenly clapped her hands. It looks like she remembered something. My rose! The typhoon will send it flying. Ooh! You mean this sad-looking rose Joe Joniki marked with a ribbon? Maria apparently remembered where the rose was. She ran at full speed. The rest of us followed her. Ooh! Ooh! Where was that again? I'm sure it was somewhere around here. We searched everywhere around that area. It was only a single flower among all the roses, after all. Even though we knew it was somewhere close by, we weren't able to find it. The winds making up the typhoon's front lines made roses throughout the garden undulate. It's almost like it was teasing us by making the location of Maria's rose impossible to find. Maybe it wasn't here? Let's try spreading out a bit in our search. Sounds good. Let's go for strength in numbers. What's up, Maria? As we made the split up in search, Maria tugged on my jacket with an unhappy face. You could tell that she didn't want us to leave that spot. What is it? What's wrong? Oh, my rose is here. It's here. But it's actually not, right? Maybe it was on the other side of the flower bed? If we look, we'll find it fast, okay? Oh, it's here! My rose is here! Look for it! Look for it! Oh! Maria stomped her feet in irritation. She pointed at the spot and said it was definitely there, but in actuality, it wasn't. Even so, Maria got mad when she said we were going to search elsewhere. We were at a loss of what to do. For a while, we had to stay near Maria and pretend to search through that rose thicket. Oh, not here. Not here. Not here. Oh. Maybe she's saying that it should be here, but it isn't. Maria's being increasingly irritated. Oh man, Maria's really losing her temper. Sometimes Maria really starts to care about really pointless stuff. If she gets what she wants, that's okay, but you can't find something that isn't there. That's not good. Just when we were about a loss of what to do, Maria called out in a loud voice. Mama! Ooh! We could see Aunt Rosa in the direction Maria was waving her hand. Maybe she wanted to look at the garden once more time before the typhoon came. Or maybe she had some business at the guest house. Aunt Rosa was coming from the mansion. She quickly noticed her daughter's voice and came over. My, what's happened to everyone? Are you looking for something? Look for it! Mama, you look for my rose too! Ooh! Your rose? We found an unhealthy rose around here and marked it. We tied a candy wrapper around it, but Maria, if I remember correctly, it was growing right right in front and really stood out, didn't it? Unless it grew legs and ran off somewhere. It must have been somewhere else. Maybe you remembered it wrong? Ooh, it is here! It is here! Battler doesn't believe. Ooh. How many times do I have to tell you to stop saying ooh before you understand? Mama will look for it, so stay quiet. I've never seen Aunt Rosa be anything other than kind and gentle, so her anger surprised me a bit. Aunt Rosa began searching as well, so we went along with her for the time being. But we were already more than sure it wasn't around here. So it didn't take long for Aunt Rosa to realize that too. The rose isn't here. Did you mistake this place for somewhere else? There's so many roses around. Ooh! That's wrong! It is here! Mama doesn't believe. Ooh! Already believed and looked hard for it, didn't I? But it isn't here. Ooh! But it is here! It is here, and it isn't! Ooh! Then someone must have ripped it out. Anyway, stop saying ooh. Ooh! Who ripped out my rose? Who did? Give it back! Give it back! Ooh! How should I know? Stop saying ooh. Aunt Rosa slapped Maria's left cheek with her palm. In that instant, Maria was shocked into silence. Of course, it was only for an instant. When Maria realized that her wish was being rejected, she started yelling even louder. Ooh! My rose! My rose! Ooh! Didn't I tell you to stop that weird habit? That's why all the kids in your class make fun of you. Cut it out! Once again, her palm slapped Maria's cheek. This time, she didn't go silent. She choked as she started crying and began to bawl in an increasingly loud voice. Aunt Rosa was clearly irritated and lifted her hand once more to try to shut her daughter up. Aunt Rosa, now, she's just a little kid, so there's no reason to get so serious. I tried to cut in with a bitter smile, rubbing my hands together, but Aunt Rosa glared at me with a serious face, and I realized I should have stayed out of this. I'm sorry, but could the rest of you go back to your room for a bit? I need to have a little talk with Maria. Ooh, nobody believes in my rose, even though it was here. Ooh, look for it. Look for it. Here, it was here. Ooh. But it's not here, so you mustn't confuse this place for somewhere else, right? Ooh. It's here. It's definitely here. Then it disappeared. Give it up. Why? Why did it disappear? Why? I don't know that. So stop saying ooh. Aunt Rosa once again raised her hand, overcome by emotion, and slapped Maria's cheek. It was strong enough to knock Maria over. Hey, Aunt Rosa, even if she is your daughter, violence isn't the answer. I stepped between them to protect Maria, who was still on the ground crying ooh. I knew that, as an outsider, problems between parent and child were none of my business. But I wasn't brought up to just silently observe something like this. Don't you think it's weird, Battler-kun? Aren't there any girls at your school who mutter? Are there any girls at your school who mutter ooh? Well, I am in high school, but for an elementary schooler, I think saying ooh is pretty cute. Cute? Saying ooh is cute? Cute? My careless words seemed to have earned Aunt Rosa's wrath. She grabbed my collar with a terrifying expression. Don't say such nonsense. Do you know how old Maria is? She's 9. She's a 4th grader, not a kindergartner. But she still makes that sound during class. Don't you get it? Don't you know what they say about this kid when they bully her? Thanks to this weird habit, she still hasn't made a single friend. Don't turn your eyes from reality and carelessly call Maria cute. Think more seriously about this kid's future. I told you to stop making that sound! Didn't I tell you to stop it? Aunt Rosa struck Maria's quivering head, from which an increasingly unhappy voice was rising. I tried to stop it, but Aunt Rosa pushed me away. My back hit George Aniki. A long time ago, Aunt Rosa also thought of it as nothing more than one of Maria's-chan's baby words. But now that it hasn't been fixed, even midway through elementary school, she's been worrying about it a lot. How she talks isn't really that big of a deal, right? She'll never make it as an adult if she's like that. So even though it isn't fun to watch, this is a problem between a parent and child. Well, even I get chewed up by Mom all the time because of how I talk. When you put it that way, maybe even a scene as painful as this, something an outsider like me shouldn't butt in on. Batlakun, when you were a kid, didn't you have any bad habits you couldn't fix that got you into trouble? Well, one or two. On Parents' Day, once I kept getting yelled at in front of everyone, and it was embarrassing as all hell. Well then, you can understand how the two of them must feel right now. I'm sure they don't want us to be here now. You understand too, don't you, Jessica-chan? I don't think anyone likes to see when they're being scolded. Let's go. We'll return to the guest house. Then after Maria-chan comes back, let's welcome her as if nothing happened. It's probably for the best, isn't it? We thought George Aniki's point was probably the reasonable one, and we may have been eager to use that reasonable-sounding argument as a justification to retreat from the heart-rending scene. Jessica and I nodded at George Aniki, and we all left. We called towards Maria, telling her that we were going ahead to the guest house, but she didn't seem to hear, and she felt sort of guilty and shameless after saying it. In that case, look by yourself as much as you want. Mama doesn't care. Oh, I'll look for it. I'll look for it by myself, even if Mama doesn't care. Oh. Have it your way. After blasting her with those last few words, Rosa spun on her heels and quickly returned to the mansion. Maria probably viewed that as a cold gesture meant to injure. But that wasn't Rosa's intention. It was because the hand at which she had so emotionally struck Maria's cheek was still numb. It was because if she stayed there screaming, she might again be taken over by her emotions and continue slapping her daughter's cheek over and over. God, fuck, this is hard to read. After Rosa left, Maria was left alone in the rose garden. The wind began to blow stronger and stronger, and every once in a while, a raindrop would fall on her forehead. However, Maria couldn't leave that place. Not until she found that poor, wilting rose. It had definitely been there. Even so, it wasn't. Even though she knew the place, and even though it had been there, it wasn't. Maria bitterly stared at the place it was supposed to be, and thought frantically. Maybe the angle I'm looking from is wrong. Maybe the height I'm looking from is wrong. While gazing at the single point, Maria repeatedly stood up, changed her position, and continued to stare. The wind was getting stronger and stronger, but Maria kept on looking from that rose in front of the flower bed. Kenzo noticed the sound of raindrops beating on the window. It seemed to be pouring down thickly. It had begun to rain later than the weather report had predicted. Kenzo approached the window as if being stunned by the sound of the rain. The sound of the rain is the sound of silence. That sound feels quieter than any silence. It makes humans remember that, in the end, they are alone from the moment they are born to the moment they die. You're late, Beatrice. Were those words directed at the rainy sky? There was no one to be seen in the direction of Kinzo's gaze. Well then, let us begin. Let us begin our banquet of miracles. This island has now been cut off from the world. Now there are none who can interrupt my ceremony. There are many fitting sacrifices for you. 4 of my children. 3 of their companions. 4 of my grandchildren. Me and my guests and my servants. You may devour as many as you please. The keys of fate may select the sacrifices in accordance with the demon's roulette. If that roulette chooses me, even I will become your sacrifice. However, because of that, because I bet on such madness, I will most assuredly bring forth a grand miracle. Come, devour to your heart's content. I will achieve victory over that roulette. Yes, I will put everything on the line. First, I'll return the inheritance of the Urashimiya family. Accept it! Kenzo tore the window open, ripped the golden ring off his finger, and forcibly threw it away. At the time, the sound of thunder rang out, giving the illusion that the lightning had accepted the ring. When you are resurrected, surely I will be the one who stands witness. I will survive until the end and watch over you as you awaken. So come, Beatrice. Welcome to my banquet. In exchange for all that I have created, show me another miracle just this once. Oh, Beatrice. Alright, and so we jump ahead a little bit. I hope you guys are enjoying. I'm enjoying this. This game is so fucked and beautiful and amazing, and trust me, it's gonna get worse. That was hard to read. Well, you guys are in for a treat. Let me tell you. A news ticker popped up on the top of the TV program we were watching. Disaster report. How much of the municipalities all over constant sending. The disaster report told how municipalities all over were continually sending out rain, flood, and wave warnings. Of course, the raindrops beating harshly on the window was even more convincing. This rain's incredible. So when it's raining this hard, it's almost like it might stop at any moment. You wish. They said the typhoon's moving slow, so it might be like this all day tomorrow. And even a little bit of bad weather stopped the boats from coming. It looks like you won't be able to head out on Sunday after all. Just in case, I cleared out business from the Monday schedule, and I'm glad I did. Which means it looks like we get to skip school Monday. Living on an island's starting to sound pretty good. Come to think of it, Jessica, you gotta take a boat to school every day, don't you? What do you do when the boats stop running? You stay home when it rains and show up late when the wind's blowing like King Kamehameha? If the boats don't come, I stay home. Still, it's not as good as it sounds. Usually I'm ordered to study by myself, so it's not that fun when someone's standing right behind you watching everything you do. During the raining season, does the weather ever stay bad for a long time? And make you miss a bunch of days in a row? It does happen sometimes. Still, I get a call from my homeschool teacher every single day who sourly guides me on how I should teach myself and what I had to turn in. She can't skip school as easy as you're imagining, Battler-kun. She's got to follow the rules for people that travel to school by boat and get a good amount of studying done. It's actually be easier to just go to school. In my own room, I get distracted and can't concentrate. After being made to do nothing but workbooks for several days straight, it's pretty hard to handle all the mental stress. When I get into college, I just want to go to some dorm and quietly say goodbye to this inconvenient island. Ah, okay. By the way, what do you do when the weather's good in the morning and it gets so bad on your way home that the boats are closed? Do you spend the night at school? That actually happens a lot. Because of that, they built some lodging there for people who can't get back to the island they live on. That's where you spend the night. Sometimes when it gets really bad, you can't get back home for a few days at a time. Someone commuting to school or work on train packed to twice its capacity might carelessly think that commuting by boat might be pretty interesting and fun. But it sounds like it comes with its own troubles of its own. You hear thoughtless tourists say stuff like that all the time. I've had enough of island life. I really want to just graduate high school and say goodbye to this island. But they're all dorm schools, even in high school, right? Why'd you choose that Nijima school of all places? I wanted to go to one of those from the beginning, but Mom's always going on about I need to learn manners and discipline as a successor. So I ended up sticking close to home even for high school. Man, I hate this island. I just want to go live in the city. I don't care if it rains or even spears fall from the sky, as long as I get to move to a city where I can wear casual clothes and sandals. And get to go to a convenience store in less than 5 minutes. Hold out just a little longer. Just a bit more and you'll graduate high school, right? I can't wait a little longer. Ah! Jessica stretched out and reclined in the sofa. Maybe it was a bad time slot, because there weren't any interesting programs on, and we had nothing to do but languidly kill time until we were called for dinner. On that episode, Maria never returned to the cousin's room after all. After that episode, Maria never returned to the cousin's room after all. Aunt Rosa probably took her back to the mansion. It had to be pretty boring for Maria all by herself while the adults had a confusing conversation. We thought we might want to as well head over to the mansion to see her, but the weather really was awful. And since there wasn't much time until dinner, we stayed where we were. At the time, we heard the sound of a humble knock. Jessica answered. Yes? The preparations for dinner are complete. Please come to the mansion. It was Kaneko-kun's voice. Did he go to the trouble of coming from the mansion in the rain just to get us? Couldn't he just call us on the telephone? Well, I guess servants at work don't always get to take the most effective route. Just when I was getting hungry. Let's go. George Aniki turned the television off and stood up. My stomach's been growling for a while. I've always been a huge fan of the main family's dinners. And didn't Goda-san say it was calf steak or something? Oh, I can't wait. Our dinners are always been fabulous than usual when the family conference comes around. Even I'm looking forward to it. Let's go, let's go. As we left the room, Kaneko-kun bowed silently and respectfully. Okay, let's go. Is the rain pretty nasty out there? Yes. Take care not to get your garments wet. After seeing the three of us out, Kaneko-kun peered into the empty room. Wasn't Maria-sama with you? No, she wasn't. Was she not with Aunt Rosa? Rosa was lying on a sofa in an empty parlor, having fallen asleep before she knew it. She was bearing the burden that children couldn't even imagine. And that's why she only needed to let her guard down a little, before the weariness immediately dragged her into the world of sleep. Realizing this, Genji brought out a blanket over to her. When he tried to spread it over her, her eyes snapped open as though she'd been shocked with electricity. Thank you, Genji-san. When she realized that the thing had been touched her was just a blanket, and that Genji had considerably giving it to her, she let out a sigh of relief. Did I wake you? My sincere apologies. No, it's okay. I hadn't planned on sleeping in the first place. What time is it now? When he asked for the time, Genji checked a pocket watch that he took out from his chest pocket. It is slightly after 6. Rosa gave her head a little shake when she realized that not much time had actually passed, even though it felt like she slept for ages. Even though she didn't feel rested at all, the drowsiness that had developed her must have been pretty deep. Thank you. I'll be fine without the blanket. I mustn't sleep at such a strange time. My sense of time has been completely thrown off. The rain has finally started pouring down in earnest, hasn't it? Rose had finally realized that the peaceful sound that had put her to sleep was actually the rain. The wind's blowing hard, too. I wonder if the typhoon's finally here. That's what they said on TV. The typhoon is moving slowly. So they think this would be a day like... So they think that it'll be a day like this all day tomorrow. Really. So our last chance to see the wonderful rose garden might have already passed by. From the window, what she could see of the rose garden was completely blurred by the wind and the rain. Maria. That's right. What about Maria? I have not seen her. Did she not return to the guest house? Rosa knew her daughter's nature well, so a chill ran down her spine. Maria was stubbornly honest, and if she was ordered to find something that didn't exist, she would look forever and ever. Even in the pouring rain. No. The cousins left before I did, so Maria was alone. Unless someone told her to stop, she'd stay there even if it started raining spears, without even opening an umbrella. How could I have lost control of my emotions and done such a thing? Even though she had known about Maria's simple honesty better than anyone, she'd once again lost control of her emotions and done something terrible. Maria! Rosa pushed Genji away and ran down the hall. The outside really looked like a typhoon, and the rain was pouring down spectacularly. Maybe because of some aspect of the terrain, but the wind wasn't typhoon class, so an umbrella wouldn't be torn out of one's hand. Even so, it was a windy rain. There was no time to admire the roses being drenched. Anyway, I'm getting pretty worried about Maria. You don't think she's still rebellious to be searching for that rose alone, do you? I wonder. Surely she wouldn't do that in this rain. At least, I wish I could believe that. But Maria-chan sometimes gets really stubborn and intensely straightforward. We hadn't worried much, thinking that Aunt Rosa had taken her back to the mansion. However, when Canon-kun had come back from the mansion to call us and thought Maria was here, we got a little worried. I did not see her in the mansion, so I was sure she was here. After all, Rosa-sama was taking a nap. You didn't see her on your way over here? My apologies. I opened my umbrella and ran as fast as I could, so I did not pay much attention. If he had cut through the rose garden, taking the shortest line between the mansion and the guest house, then he must have just barely missed the place where Maria had been looking for her rose. And it was raining this hard, too. It certainly would have been possible for Canon-kun to fail to notice her. Instead of arguing around here, it'd be faster to just check it out directly. I'm going to drop a save because it has been a little while. That is the one thing about this game, is that if you do not save, you have a lot of shit to go through again, as I have learned multiple times. It's actually terrible. I always be saving, folks. Always be saving. Instead of arguing around here, it'd be faster to check it out directly. Aniki, why don't we race over there? Oh, do you think you could beat me now that we've been growing for 6 years? Okay, let's settle this. Go! George Aniki and I flew out into the rain. Jessica and Cannon followed us. Maria! If you're there, answer me! Maria! It's Aunt Rosa. Hey, Aunt Rosa! When George Aniki called back, Aunt Rosa jumped at him and grabbed onto him. Where's Maria? Isn't she with you? No, we didn't meet with Maria-chan after that. Maria! 6 years ago, Maria was 3 years old. She was a cute and pure kid who just accepted what everyone said. But 6 years have passed since then. She's 9 now, and experiencing the ups and downs of life should have taught her something. Maria, are you telling me you're still as innocent and pure as you used to be? Maria! As I circled the rose bed, something white unexpectedly turned to face me. It was a white umbrella. Maria was crouching down, holding a white umbrella and still searching for that rose. Her face, which had turned bright red from crying her eyes out, was dirtied with mud. It was a truly pitiful sight. Maria? Are you still looking? Oh, can't find it. Can't find my rose. Oh. Maria had probably been here since the rain started pouring down. Her shoulders were freezing. She looked tired to the bone, and unfortunately, since she was holding an umbrella, she wasn't completely soaked. The umbrella probably came from the handbag Maria was always carrying around. Thank goodness. Seriously, thank goodness. Balor-kun! Thank goodness you found her. Maria! I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Aunt Rosa threw her umbrella aside and hugged Maria. Oh, it's not here. My rose isn't here. Uh, I'll look for it with you. I'll look for it with you later. Okay? So just put it on hold for today. Okay? Uh, put it on hold for today? Looked like Maria wasn't able to accept it, but she no longer had enough energy left to resist. Jessica and Cannon couldn't caught up with us. I'll have a towel ready in the mansion immediately. Maria, were you here this whole time? I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being such a bad mother. Rosa, why don't we head back to the mansion for the time being? If we stay here, Maria will catch a cold. You're right. Maria, let's go. If we don't get you cleaned up, Grandfather will be mad. Oh, hungry. It's already time to eat. You did a good job holding out, Maria. Once the weather gets better, we'll go search together. We couldn't stay in the rain forever. We took Maria with us as we headed back to the mansion. Maria apparently wasn't as worn out as I thought. When she remembered we were having calf steak for dinner, she started chanting, I'm hungry, ooh, ooh," and returned to her usual spirited self. Aunt Rosa didn't chide Maria for saying, ooh, ooh. I see. So she had an umbrella on her. Maria is sure good at packing the right stuff. Oh? I didn't bring an umbrella. What? Then how did you get that white umbrella you're holding? Ooh, I borrowed it. Some caring person must have brought her an umbrella. A normal kid would look like for shelter once it started raining, but Maria was too stubborn to give up so easily. So maybe that caring person gave up on telling Maria to find shelter and decided to at least give her an umbrella. I see. I'll have to thank that person. Who was it? Oh, Beatrice! The name Maria cheerfully mentioned was that of the island's witch. Rosa took a deep breath and asked again, trying to do so in a way that wouldn't damage Maria's good mood. Really? That's wonderful. So, who was it? Who brought you that umbrella? Oh? Beatrice. Oh? Maria immediately realized her mother didn't believe her and started crying unhappily again. So Rosa stopped pursuing the subject. It'd probably be faster to ask whoever lent Maria the umbrella during dinner, rather than ask Maria herself. Father, please at least join us for dinner. It won't be a family conference otherwise. Along with the dull pounding on the door, the sound Kraus' entreaty could be heard. However, the voice seemed to be resigned to the fact that nothing it said would be heard. Kenzo-san, wouldn't you at least come out for dinner? All your children have gathered here to see your face, haven't they? Silence, Nanjo. For the bishop won't work. One move too short. Apparently, Kinzo was completely focused on the final battle of his long-lasting chess match with Nanjo. Kinzo's brow was wrinkled as he continued to glare at the game board through his spectacles. Kraus's voice didn't reach his ears. Kenzo-san, I'm hungry myself. Why don't we go down and eat? Go by yourself if that's what you want. Let me consider this next move for a little longer. We are going to finish it tonight. Otherwise, it's doubtful if we'll finish before the world ends. Nanjo rose from his seat, hoping this would prompt Kinzo to do the same, but Kinzo's eyes never left the chessboard. He knew well that Kinzo always displayed a blind concentration when it came to chess, but he'd never seen Kinzo concentrate as hard as this. It's almost as though Kinzo was telling the truth, and there'd never be another chance for them to continue their contest if they didn't finish tonight. It seemed that, no matter how ostensibly he called out to Kinzo, it wouldn't reach the latter's heart. Nanjo gave up and headed to the door that Kraus was still banging on. The door to the study opened. Kraus was taken aback, thinking that maybe Kinzo was actually coming out. However, Nanjo was the one who appeared, and Kraus let out a sigh of relief. Dr. Nanjo. His father... I'm sorry I couldn't be of service. Right now, this room is Kinzo-san's whole world. Nanjo shook his head with complete defeated expression. Kraus raised his fist once more and banged on the door, shouting, Father, can you hear me? We're heading down now, so please join us any time you feel like. All of your children are waiting for you." His voice was very loud, and he was making a racket pounding on the door. There was no way it couldn't reach Kinzo's ears. It certainly was reaching him, but he ignored it anyway. However, unlike the time he had been called down for lunch, he didn't fly into a rage. By now, Kinzo was calm at heart, almost as he had taken a philosophical view and turned himself over to fate. Neither dinner nor the faces of my children interest me in the slightest. I will only leave here if Beatrice is resurrected, or if I am chosen as a sacrifice for the key. The demon's roulette has already started spinning. What meaning does dinner have at this point? As though the painfully loud banging on the door completely failed to enter his hearing, Kinzo silently thought about his next chess move, still in his philosophical state. Just as always, Kinzo's figure wouldn't be seen anywhere in the dining hall. Kraus, wearing a bitter smile, returned with Nanjo. "Father says he's not feeling well. He truly regrets missing this once-a-year opportunity to sit together with his gathered family." Ava and Rudolph snickered. Given Kinzo's personality, there's no way he'd show signs of regret, and none of his relatives showed any regret at his absence. "Why don't we start dinner? Goda, begin." "Certainly. Well then, if you will allow me." When Goda was told to start the family dinner conference dinner, his biggest time to shine of the whole year, he nodded with a broad grin. "May I ask who lent Maria an umbrella?" When Rosa timidly cut through the silence of the dining hall, everyone noticed. "An umbrella? What's this about?" A short while back, Maria was in the rose garden when it started raining, and she apparently borrowed a white umbrella from someone. I wanted to thank them. It wasn't one of us. After you left, we moved to a different room and had a friendly chat the whole time." That's right. Even after that, the siblings had a real friendly chat. The word friendly fell awkwardly from Hideyoshi's lips. Even so, those who hadn't been present could tell the conversation hadn't been a pleasant one. At the very least, it couldn't have been me, Ava, Rudolph, Hideyoshi, or Kiriya-san. We were together the whole time, even after Natsui and Isan and Rosa-san left. The whole time until the meal started. Isan went up to the study with Genji-san to call father. At that time, the rest of us were went straight to the dining hall. So it wasn't one of us. Could it have been a servant kind enough to lend her an umbrella? "So, was it you, Goda-san?" "I've been in the kitchen the whole time preparing. My sincere apologies." Goda looked slightly disappointed about missing his chance to show off. At the time, Shannon and Kumasawa appeared, pushing a servant cart loaded with hors d'oeuvres. "Then what about Kumasawa-san or Shannon-chan?" "Yes? Has something gone wrong?" Because Shannon had been coming part way, she shrank back, mistakenly think the others were searching for one responsible for some error. "It isn't like that. It started to rain when Maria-chan was all alone in the rose garden. After that, someone lent her an umbrella. Aunt Rosa said she wanted to thank that person." "Oh, Beatrice." Maria left her voice. Her mouth was a thin line, said the witch's name in a small voice. Aunt Rosa explained the situation once more. As she did, Kumasawa-chan cackled. "It wasn't us." "It wasn't us. Shannon, San, and I were preparing these rooms together, and we did not go outside." "Yes, I'm sorry I wasn't being able to be of assistance. Preparing the rooms. What do you mean by that? Because of the rain, we thought it would be troublesome for all the guests to return to the guest house, so the servants were ordered to prepare the guest rooms inside the mansion. Really? How thoughtful. Yes, it'd certainly be rude to chase us outside in this rain. Could you give it a rest? Yes. After receiving the order from Madame Kumasawa-san, Ken and Kun and I started preparing the rooms. Then it became time for dinner, so Genji-san ordered Ken and Kun to go to the guest house with some of the children. Yes, so did Ken and San find Maria on the way to the guest house and hand her the umbrella? Oh, wrong! The person who had actually received the umbrella denied it. Rosa was troubled. All she wanted to do was give a word of thanks to the person who left the umbrella, but she couldn't find them. And she thought asking like this, with everyone gathered at dinner, would work immediately. Then, was it you, Natsuini-san? I'm sorry. After everyone's friendly chat, my headache was so bad that I've been resting in my room. Therefore, I did not go outside. Then, who was it? George-kun and the kids? That can't be right. No, it wasn't us. We were watching television in the guest house the whole time. Actually, we thought Maria had gone back to the mansion with you. Then Ken-kun came and asked whether Maria was with us. Then we first realized she wasn't in the mansion. I mean, if it were me, I'd grabbed her hand and pulled her under a roof before giving her an umbrella. Rosa was completely baffled. One by one, the relatives and servants denied that they had done it, even though it wasn't something anyone would need to hide. So by the process of elimination, the number of remaining candidates wasn't large. Of course, it wasn't me. Right after it began raining, I visit Kinzo-san's room and I began playing chess with him until just now. Which means that it also wasn't grandfather. Wait a sec. Isn't this starting to get a bit weird? Who's left? Who was it? Kenji-san? Huh? Wait a second. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm searching for some culprit or anything. All I want to do as a mother is thank the person who gave Maria an umbrella in the middle of the rain. Giving an umbrella to a girl loitering in the rain was something to be praised, not hidden. Despite that, no one raised their hand. Why not? Everyone started whispering about how strange this was getting. Calm down, Rosa. Why don't we just ask the person who lent the umbrella? That's what everyone had been thinking since the beginning. They were all scratching their heads as why she didn't just ask Maria who had been given the umbrella. However, Rosa bit her lower lip. After all, she already knew how Maria would answer if asked. Of course! Rudolph-kun here's got it right. Maria-chan, tell your uncle. Who lent you the umbrella? Beatrice! The dining hall was wrapped in silence for an instant, but it was soon interrupted by a burst of laughter. I see. So Beatrice, the Witch of the Forest, felt pity and lent her an umbrella. What a lovely story. Rosa, there you have it. Rosa couldn't believe it. Even though she just wanted to say thanks for the umbrella, why did everyone have to be so clouded in smoke? Ooh, just like Uncle Kraus said, Beatrice, let me borrow it. Ooh. Isn't that wonderful? We should all be jealous of such purity. What do you think, everyone? Kraus was laughing with a face that was clearly mocking, but Maria was overjoyed, apparently convinced that her claim was being believed. How did that work? Does that mean a witch really did appear and lent her an umbrella? Jessica asked me in a small voice, but that wouldn't carry over to Maria, who was sitting across from me. Has Maria ever been the type to make jokes? If she had heard this type of story pop out of an old bastard's mouth, we would have just taken it as another joke. However, it was hard to explain it away like that when Maria said it. This was getting pretty unnerving. No way. She's always been frank and serious. She's the sort who believe any joke, even normal ones, people would instantly tell were lies. I never even heard her cracking a joke. Aunt Rosa probably knew that better than anyone. It appeared that because of this weird situation, she had no idea what was going on anymore. So if Maria says she borrowed an umbrella from Beatrice, And that must mean it really was Beatrice? We are talking about Maria here, so I can't think of it as some sort of metaphor or joke. It might be best to take it at what she says at face value. Then what's going on? Are you saying Genji-san or someone put that fancy dress from the portrait and gave Maria the umbrella? I'm not sure about that. Actually, that's what I want to know. Jessica shrugged jokingly, but her expression didn't completely match her attitude. Once the hors d'oeuvres were set out and Goda showed off his vast store of knowledge, the meal began. A couple casual chats broke out here and there, and they seemed somehow distant. The meal ended up being so quiet that you could ignore the sound of the rain sneaking into the dining hall. Kumasawa-san and Sharon pushed the serving cart, ran into Genji and Kanon on their way back into the kitchen. Oh, it's Genji-san. Did you lend Maria-san an umbrella? An umbrella? What are you talking about? Well, I heard that it started raining. Maria was alone in the rose garden. It seems she borrowed an umbrella from someone there. But we don't know who it was. It wasn't me. After all, I actually thought Maria-san was in the guest house. When Battler's Sama first found her, she was already holding a white umbrella. My apologies, but it wasn't not me either. Then could it really be the master? Both in the dining hall and right here, everyone stated that he hadn't done it. That left only Kenzo, but maybe he went walking down the corridor for some reason, when he just happened to see Maria-sama in the rose garden without an umbrella? The master is not particularly fond of Maria-sama. I agree. I can't imagine that for Maria-sama's sake he'd go to all the trouble of descending the stairs with an umbrella. And my, how troublesome. Does that mean the one who lent Maria-sama an umbrella really was Beatrice-sama? Kuma-sama laughed, just like the relatives in the dining hall who had laughed it off. She couldn't think of any other way to break through the smoke veiling the current situation. Just then the crisp sound of hands clapping twice rang through the hallway. They all turned around at once to see Goda coming out of the dining hall. Okay, everyone. When serving a dinner, proper timing while setting the table is essential. Please immediately see to setting out the soup. Genji-san and the women are in the middle of an important job, so please do not get in their way. Kanon glared at Goda for being rude to Genji, a person Kanon respected. Genji, realizing this, patted Kanon once on the shoulder as a warning. Kanon reluctantly turned away and returned his expression to normal. Obey Goda's instructions. Hurry and prepare the dinner table. Come now, there's no time. Don't dawdle. Hurry. Goda grabbed the serving cart from Shannon and steadily pushed it towards the kitchen. Then please allow us to return to the kitchen. After all, Goda-san's temper is very short. Please excuse me as well. Kumasawa and Shannon left. Only Genji and Kanon remained. Though the window, the darkness of the rainy night could be seen, along with the occasional thunderbolt. Genji-sama. Did Beatrice-sama really return? I don't know. Shall I inform the master? That is not necessary. If she truly has returned, she will eventually appear before the master of her own accord. Furthermore, she is a fickle person. It would be pointless to report the master only to find out that she did not appear. I wonder if this means the master's ceremony has already begun. Probably. However, that has nothing to do with furniture like us. We must continue to return the favor received from the master until our final moments. Yes, that is furniture's duty. The thunder crashed once more. Except for those instants when lightning lighted up the sky, nothing could be seen out of the window but the darkness of night. Just as humans rule when the sun is up. Those that are not human rule when the sun is down. The darkness of night that now surrounded Rokkenjima was ruled by another master, not the Yoshiorimiya family. Did the master take pity on Maria when she was alone and being pummeled by the rain in the rose garden, lending her an umbrella? Kanon looked at the rose garden's lights, dimly visible beyond the window. The dim lights weren't enough to illuminate the surrounding area. Looking at those lights felt like making eye contact with the witch, and Ken forced himself to avert his gaze. If he didn't, it felt like his eyes would be absorbed by that light. Can the weather change how people act? You often hear stories about things like the atmospheric pressure can influence people's moods and physical health. For some time, people have been struggling to clear the gloomy atmosphere. But any conversation was quickly cut off, and in the end, the dining hall was simply lifted by the sounds of the rain. Dessert was some kind of chocolate cake accompanied by a pear sherbet? Sherbet? Yeah, sherbet. Goto-san enthusiastically explained the recipe as soon as the final dish was presented, but I quickly forgot the details. The guest of honor, grandfather, was absent. The weather was horrible, and the identity of the one who lent Maria an umbrella remained a mystery. When dinner ended, no one felt even one bit refreshed. It was too late now, but I finally painfully... Oh my god, this is the problem. I'm sorry, I start to struggle to read if you don't notice. Especially when there's just not any games like voice acting. I think there's a mod that does put voice acting in the game, but then I'd speak even less. So, I don't know. You guys would just be experiencing the game at that point, and I don't even know how to install that mod, to be honest with you. If anyone knows how to, I would be more than happy to take some advice, because apparently the voice acting is really... I've heard a bit of the voice acting. It's fairly decent. I'm a shit voice actor. Give props to the people who actually put quality voices into this shit. It was late now. I realized painfully that taste wasn't the only important part of a meal. The whole atmosphere was also critical. Goto-san, the supposed conductor of this musical piece called Dinner, did his best to enliven the place, dropping little jokes left and right. Apparently not one of them succeeded. After taking orders for an after-dinner coffee, tea, and orange juice, he left for the kitchen. As soon as he disappeared, Uncle Kraus spoke. My. What a waste the dinner Goto worked so hard to create has met with such gloomy atmosphere. Yes, absolutely. It just feels like nothing would taste good today. Huh. I'd like to know why you feel that way. Later on, I'll do all I can as an older brother to help cheer you up. Aunt Eva grimaced slightly. I already heard she wasn't on good terms with Uncle Kraus, but it was pretty clear now. When I look around, I noticed that my father and Aunt Rosa were also grimacing. Apparently there was something besides the weather troubling all of them. Both Aunt Eva and my dad aren't looking too happy. Really, I don't think so. I asked Aunt Nutsui, who is sitting at my right. She seems to be in a bad mood as well. She snapped back as if to say she was absolutely not interested. Well, our adult conversation got a little complicated. It's a little something kids like you need to worry. It isn't something kids like you need to worry about, Battler-kun. Isn't that right, Natsui-san, Kirei-san? Uncle Hideyoshi laughed as he spoke, but without his usual brightness, so I could vaguely imagine just how complicated their adult conversation had become. On top of that, even Aunt Natsui and Krie-san, the people who he had directed his comment to, ignored him as though he hadn't heard anything. I didn't know what kind of conversation they'd been having while the kids were away, but it reminded me of how Dad said his stomach cramps when he arrived at the mansion. The family conference might have been a playful reunion to us kids, but it was definitely different for the adults. After Uncle Hideyoshi's comment was ignored by the other adults, and an awkward silence fell over the room, Krie-san spoke up. We were talking about how the kids' careers would turn out, as what lies in the future, Battler-kun. Will you just drift on to college? Wouldn't it be a little disheartening as the starting line of a long race of life? Hey, wait a sec. Krie-san, if you start talking about something like that in the middle of a meal, it won't digest well and we'll end up getting constipated. That's right. We were talking about Battler-kun and Jessica-chan's careers. We gotta think seriously about the future. Hideyoshi hardly agreed, as if they were really talking about that, but that was probably wrong. Krie-san had obviously been trying to change the subject. However, if Krie-san had determined that this was the best course of action for now, then she was probably right. Taking this into account, I cast aside my suspicions as to the cause behind Aunt Eva and Dad's bad moods. At long last, the serving cart returned, filled with coffee and tea. Kumasawa-san and Sharon-kun served it to everyone. Goto-san then explained that this concluded tonight's meal. If only the mood had been a bit more cheery, it might have been the best dinner in my life. It was a shame that this best of dinners couldn't have been better conditions. Uh, Ooh! George Oni-chan, is dinner over now? Over? Yes, with this, dinner is finished. Don't be rude. Stay in your seat and calmly drink up. Ooh! Maria looked like she was really excited by the occasional crashing thunder. Maybe she wanted to quickly finish eating and run over to the window. She began fidgeting for a while, waiting for the meal to the end. Some people are afraid of thunder, while others find it interesting, and Maria was apparently one of the latter sort. Therefore, when she heard from George Aniki that dinner was over, a huge smile broke across her face. And then she rose from her seat, took out her handbag, which she had set under her seat, never having lifted it even when she was eating, and began fishing around inside it. No one seemed particularly concerned by this behavior. What's that? Where did you get that? George was the first to notice it. As he spoke, Battler noticed it too. They saw that Maria was holding a beautiful Western-style envelope. On the front of the envelope, the Yoshimiya family crest, the one-winged angel, was done in gold leaf. Furthermore, the fact that it was sealed with a dark red wax made it clear that it wasn't something Maria could have brought as a prank. Maria-chan, what is that? It seemed that Natsue had also noticed the strangeness of the envelope Maria was holding. Her voice sounded too serious for someone admonishing a small child, so the relatives around us finally noticed too. What happened, Natsue-san? What is that? Maria, where did you pick that up? That envelope has Kinzo-san's. When Nato mothered that, even the kids could understand why everyone seemed to be frozen solid. The envelope that Maria held was one of the Yushomiya's family's custom-made envelopes for private use. In other words, it could only mean one thing. This envelope contained a message from Kinzo. Oh, what is an envelope like that doing here? Now that is an interesting thing to come jumping out at us. Just let me have a peek. Oh? No way, I'll read it. I was told to read it to everyone. Uncle Hideyoshi tried to snatch the envelope out of Maria's hands, but she protected it as though hugging it and didn't let go. Hideyoshi-san, you can't use force against a child. Maria-chan, where did you get this envelope? Ooh, I got it from Beatrice when she gave me the umbrella. She told me to read it to everyone after the meal was over. I am the witch's messenger. Oh? Messenger? The almighty witch of the island sure likes to mess around. Battler tried to joke about it, but no one laughs. I wonder what's written inside it, Maria-chan. Ooh, gonna read it. Ooh. Maria casually opened the envelope. It was sealed only with wax, so that she just had to remove the sealing wax to open it. The sealing wax fell onto the desk. Hideyoshi hastily picked it up and stared fixedly at it. He then set it in the center of the table where Natsue, Krie, and Nanjo stared at it. Imprinted in the sealing wax was the one-winged angel. I keep saying angel for some reason. I might as unfuss Sephiroth. Oh, God, what is wrong with me? Imprinted into the sealing wax was the one-winged eagle, which was the Yoshomiya's family crest and also Kinzo's personal crest. This is the family head's personal crest. I know it from the letters I received from Kinzo-san before. Without a doubt, this is his wax seal. But aren't there several things in the mansion bearing that crest? For example, if there was some kind of stamp for wax seals, couldn't someone other than Kinzo have used it? No, Kinzo would always use a ring on his finger, his proof of the Yoshomiya family headship, when he sealed the wax. The shape and complex design is definitely Kinzo-san's seal. That is not necessarily so. Anyone in the family might have received a letter from father at least once. We can't eliminate the possibility someone used the wax as a model to create a fake seal and passed himself off as father. I agree with Aniki. No matter how much the seal resembles Dad's, we can't prove that it's a real thing. So it doesn't prove the envelope came from him. I absolutely agree. I cannot approve of an arbitrary deciding that this letter came from Father based solely on a wax seal. Dr. Najo, couldn't you use a bit more discretion with your vague words? I apologize. It was not my place to speak. One after another, all the siblings from Kraus on downward rejected Nanjo's statement, saying the envelope Maria held was not necessarily from Kinzo. They were afraid. They feared from the bottom of their hearts that Kinzo's intentions were written in there, and that it might be some announcement regarding the inheritance that would be decided unfavorably to them. Maria, the person who gave you that envelope was the same person who lent you that umbrella, right? Ooh? I don't know what ooh means. Is that true? Yes. Ooh. So in other words, the witch, Beatrice, gave Maria-chan that envelope along with the umbrella? Ooh. Maria nodded forcefully. I agree with my husband. It's a dubious letter handed over by some suspicious person. It isn't even worth reading. There's nothing wrong with just reading it, right? Butler said it to Jessica in a small voice, trying to act tough, but not so we heard him clearly, and glared at him with threatening eyes. And then, Beatrice told you had to read it after the meal was over, right, Maria? Oh? It's okay, everyone. This envelope didn't come from Grandfather, but from Beatrice. Regardless of who actually wrote it, why can't we just hear out what's inside before we decide? That's right. Even if Father didn't necessarily write it, I'm sure I'd still like to know what's inside. Maria-chan, I'm sorry I tried to take it from you by force earlier. I apologize, so you read it aloud in front of everyone. Maria, read it. Ooh. As the relative stared fiercely at Maria, she spread the letter open with a rustle. Do you think it really did come from Dad? Impossible. Whenever Father was announced something to us in the past, he'd always send Ginji if he didn't do it directly, correct? I cannot believe that he would use such a joke-like approach. That's right. Maria, a messenger? Definitely doesn't suit Father's taste. Rosa, could this be Maria-chan trying to surprise us, putting some kind of show? Maria isn't really a kid who's capable of something so thoughtful. Gonna read it. Oh. The words came out of Maria's mouth, but for some reason her voice seemed different from usual. Everyone's suddenly silent. Welcome to Rokenjima, members of the Hiroshima family. I am Beatrice, the alchemist for this family employed by Kinzo himself. That's crazy. Quiet! I have served him for many years in accordance with our contract, and on this day, Kinzo-sama has announced the final suspension of that contract. Therefore, I ask that you acknowledge my resignation from the position of family alchemist from this day forth. How foolish. What nonsense. I can't stand to listen to it. And now, there is one part of the contract that must be explained to all present. I, Beatrice, let Kinzo-sama a vast quantity of gold under certain terms. One of those terms specifies that all the gold is to be returned upon me upon the termination of the contract. Furthermore, I am to receive everything the Yoshimiya family has interest. Ridiculous. It's been ridiculous from the very beginning. So it's basically one of those things, right? Doesn't it sound like one of those contracts with the devil? The contract has expired, so they've come to collect the interest. Is he trying to grab some retirement money for her old age or something? What a cheeky witch! Battler-kun, now is the time to joke around. Battler made a face as if to ask, if I can't make fun of this, what can I make fun of? Some of the adults' faces were pale, while others looked dazed. After hearing this, you may feel as though Kinzo-sama was being savagely ruthless. However, Kinzo-sama did amend a special clause to the contract so that you would have a chance to preserve your wealth and honor. If, and only if, that special clause is fulfilled, I will lose the rights to the gold in the interest of all eternity. A special clause? What is it? Special clause. Beatrice retains the right to collect the gold and accumulated interest upon the termination of the contract. However, if someone is able to discover the hidden gold of this contract, Beatrice must abandon these rights for all time. The collection of interest will proceed shortly, but if any of you fulfills the terms of this special clause... Yeah, I shall return everything, including the portion that has already been collected. Furthermore, as the first step in this collection of Kinzo-sama's debt, I will have taken possession of the Hiroshima family head ring, which signifies the passage of the Hiroshima family headship from one individual to another. I ask that you confirm this for yourself by examining the imprint on the wax seal. Are they trying to claim that's the meaning behind the seal? That father would relinquish his ring is unthinkable. Frost stared at the sealing wax as if trying to burn a hole through it. Ava and Rudolph were doing the same over his shoulder. Come to think of it, when we were playing chess, I did have a strange feeling that something was missing from Kinzo-san's finger. Dr. Nanjo, don't say something so careless just because of a vague memory. We can't prove its authenticity here. Only by asking Father directly can we determine whether he really handed over his ring, or whether this letter tells the truth. That's right. It's just as Krie-san says. Do you really think that Kenzo-san would tell you? After all, that person's thoughts sometimes surpasses the bounds of common sense. No matter what happens, it's still nonsense. In the first place, the illusion of gold itself is one of Father's tricks. I've already heard enough of the talk of that from gold from the rest of you. This is the witch speaking, right? About how the inheritance and all the assets will be handed over to the one who finds the gold, right? So maybe Beatrice-sama is Father's legal advisor or in charge of his funds. We can't possibly trust some stranger who entrusts such suspicious paper to a child. Hanaki, we need you to be frank with us. Is it possible Dad's assets are being managed by someone you don't know? No, that's not possible. As the family's head representative, I control all of Father's assets. It should be impossible for anyone to do as they please with them without me knowing it. So this must mean there are some assets you don't control, right, Kraus-Nissan? How foolish! Such assets could not possibly exist! Oh, but there is such a thing. An asset of Father's that you don't control. There's no way such a thing could exist. No, it does. It's Father. No, Beatrice's hidden gold. Let's keep it simple. In short, Dad had some trusted confidant Anaki doesn't even know about. Furthermore, this person has always been in charge of watching and managing the gold. Or it could be some intrinsic rich person who offered him a loan with the rules of a devil-like contract. Could it be that his confidant called Beatrice is trying to test which of Kenzo's children is most worthy to be financed by her gold? Krie's question was all that the siblings wanted answered. Upon reflection, they realized Kenzo's strange epitaph which hung in the wall beneath the witch's portrait for some time, and while it had long been whispered that who could solve the puzzle would receive everything, no one had ever clearly stated it. It was just something that everyone had hoped might be true. And right here, right now, the thing they hoped for had been clearly stated in Beatrice's letter. It clearly specified that everything in the Hiroshima family would be given to the one who found the gold. Kenzo-sama had already publicly displayed the location of the hidden gold within the epitaph under my portrait. The rules apply equally to all who read the epitaph. If you discover the gold, I shall return everything to you. Tonight I ask you enjoy your battle of wits with Kenzo-sama to the fullest. I sincerely pray that this night be both intellectual and elegant. I sincerely pray you enjoy this night. Pray that this night will be both intellectual and elegant. Beatrice the Golden. Father, I know you can hear me. Please respond. The door to Kenzo's study was being violently, harshly beaten against over and over like a percussion instrument. The yells coming from the other side belonged to Kraus, Rudolph, and sometimes Ava. It was the siblings who were trying to intrude upon Ross's study. It was the siblings who were trying to intrude upon Kenzo's study to question him about the truth behind the mysterious letter. Kenzo was eating. An elegant tablecloth sat over the desk, and a fabulous dinner had adorned the table down in the dining hall. Was reproduced here. Kenzo continued his meal in silence. Shannon, taking away an empty plate, looked uncomfortably between the door being pounded and Kenzo's face. Everyone is calling for you. But what should I do? Leave them. God and my meals both hold silence as a virtue. Should I silence them? There's no need. It does not even reach my ears. Kenzo enjoyed his meal, apparently indifferent. Kenji quietly lowered his head and took a small single step back. As he did, Kanon, who stood in reserve like a shadow behind the side of Genji, opened his mouth. Maria-sama apparently received a letter from Beatrice-sama, so I imagine they want to test its authenticity. Has she started already, then? Come, Beatrice! I have no shortage of coins to be wagered. Shall we enjoy this night to the fullest? I don't think I'll lose. Your smile will be mine for all eternity. If I could see it one more time, I wouldn't regret losing my wealth, my honor, even my life. Well then, the roulette has begun to spin. Which pocket will the ball fall into? Noir, Rouge, or House take all? Come, you may begin, Beatrice. I'll show you the power of miracles once more. Everyone's a little crazy on this island, I'm noticing. Just a little bit crazy. The strange letter that the witch had entrusted to Maria wiped all memories of dinner from our minds. Maria had repeatedly badgered by questions by Aunt Rosa and the other parents, become increasingly ill-tempered when they refused to believe her. If we kids tried to butt in, they'd probably ignore us. Our parents were all stirred up, firing back and forth about the gold and the distribution of the assets, and completely forgotten that we were even there. I already guessed they'd be talking like this in the shadows, but I hadn't thought that he'd be so blunt. It gave all us kids a considerable shock. From what we could overhear, all of our parents wanting more money as soon as possible. Back and forth about grandfather's inheritance. Back and forth about the distribution of gold as if it was found. About advance payments in cash. It was so despicable. I could hardly bear to watch, even though one of them was my father. It looked like Jessica felt the same way. We left our seats without asking to and went to hang out somewhere well away from our parents. I get it. I totally see why grandfather hates coming down for meals. I'm so disillusioned with our parents right now. All that about money and the inheritance. How can they act like that right now in the open? Well, I'm already completely delusioned with my old bastard. There's no way I could think of any worse of him. It's exactly the same for me. Still, it freaking shocked me. Shocked me to the core. Jessica looked down at the floor, irritated. She was always talking about how bad her parents were. Maybe she really felt that way deep inside. The depths of Jessica's shock made that clear. You're all minors being supported by your parents, so you might not understand. But getting money is neither simple nor a pretty thing. I won't try to force you to understand right now, since you're still kids. But even so, I want you to realize that your parents are doing their best in their own way. Oh, great. George Anaki's gotten all mature. George Nissan, I know you're working hard as a full-fledged member of society, but does that mean you'll turn into a shameless, greedy vulture like our parents whenever you start talking about money and assets? If it were only my own benefit, then no, I wouldn't want to do that. However, when your family, your employees, your subordinates, and their families are all counting on you, there might be some times when you must fight. I hate that kind of fight. That back and forth between grandfather's inheritance just makes me want to puke. Jessica pretended to spit violently. The harsh reaction made the depths of her pain very clear. Let's stop talking about this. All this about grandfather's hidden gold, property, and inheritance is our parents' problem, not ours. I agree. At the very least, I think children have a duty to be considerate and stay out of their parents' way when they're talking together. Sounds pretty boring. Everyone knows adults are filthy. But we now seen that for ourselves. It really did give us a considerable shock. George Umineko was pretty much an adult, already beginning the illusion with my dad, so the shock wasn't that big for me. But Jessica seemed to be taking it hard. Apparently, she received a bigger blow than I had thought. She always talks badly about her parents, but it looks like she hadn't changed at all on the inside. Even now, she's still a pure-hearted, delicate person who can't doubt others. I'm sure she respected her parents just as much as anyone else does. And then her parents started raging about going on money, money, inheritance, my money, right in front of all the other parents and children. It's no surprise she receives a shock from hearing that. Jessica-chan, please don't start hating your mother and father. I won't ask you to understand them, but at least don't hate them. I get it, just leave me alone for a bit. 6 years ago, I would have kept taunting Jessica after she got all dejected. But I guess I really have grown over the last 6 years. I realized it'd be better to leave Jessica all alone right now. Jessica suddenly looked away sulkingly and left the parlor. She probably didn't want her to be left alone for a while. I could do nothing but wordlessly watch her back as she left. Come to think of it, I wonder where Maria-chan went. She's probably poking around, pouting in front of the portrait. Maria truly looked up to witches, and she expected that coming in contact with Beatrice and receiving the letter as proof would surprise everyone and make them happy. However, the adults had doubted its authenticity, thoroughly bombarding Maria with questions and refusing to accept her story. Even for me, it was hard to imagine how much it must have hurt Maria. I couldn't speak to Maria or Jessica. In the end, George Umineko and I abandoned ourselves to the sound of the falling rain in the dark night. I wonder what's happening with that typhoon. There's something about it on the news. George Umineko started walking over to the corner of the parlor where the television was. He hadn't called me over. I really couldn't have cared less if the typhoon was on the sea now. So without going over to the television, I loitered around the window. The wind hasn't picked up much here, but I wonder if it's horrible over the sea. I did hear about a severe storm warning on the weather report. Ah, Krie-san. I take it those big talks between the adults are going smoothly, yeah? She seemed to catch the sarcasm. Krie-san shrugged. I wonder if that stomachache of a discussion will continue all night. It's not going to be fun. Well then, please enjoy playing vultures to grandfather's property as much as you like. I feel sick. I agree with you on that. If I could just slip away like you, I'd do it. Unfortunately, I can't. And if I'm not allowed to speak, these spouses have it pretty rough too. Krie-san took a deep breath, smiling bitterly. That's right. Probably wouldn't let Krie-san speak, even though since she's only married into the family. Still, as Dad's partner, she had no choice but to stay on his side and support him. She probably had to bear the full blunt of this mental pressure even more than me. I wasn't going to apologize, but realized that I spoke too harshly. I cut the sarcasm for the time being. So, how does it look? Are they still stuck on the topic of the mysterious witch Beatrice? More or less. Those 4 siblings are always piling up secret agreements when they come together to discuss the divisions of grandfather's inheritance. They're saying that some unknown 5th person has appeared and is trying to make things even more complicated, and there's no way that'll make for a peaceful conversation. Just when you think they're snarling at each other, they set up a common front. Natsuki-Nisen's not the only one getting headaches. On the other hand, they all want a larger portion of the other siblings, so they're all rivals. On the other hand, they don't want one yen to be snatched up by anyone other than the siblings, so they're also all allies. I hadn't been told the details, but the siblings were apparently discussing how to protect the shares under various situations, setting up ceasefire agreements and rules to prevent anyone from getting an unfair advantage, and preparing to resort to legal action if absolutely necessary. That they would go this far to preserve their share was so beyond disgusting, you just had to acknowledge their resilience. So basically, Beatrice is like an assassin sent in by her grandfather. He probably wanted to scare the hell out of his children for talking about the inheritance without him. Who is this Beatrice, I wonder? If everything she claims is true, then she's a mysterious figure that no one knew about until today. She also knows about grandfather's hidden gold. On top of that, She was even entrusted with the head's ring. She must truly have been trusted by him. Well, obviously, I don't think she's a witch riding around on a broom, but there's no doubt she's a mysterious person who's earned the right to be called a witch. Only Maria-chan could go into more detail about that. Everyone's been smothering her. She's just a little girl. It really scared her. Some things they might have asked now can't be asked. They're really scared her, and some things they might have asked now can't be asked. I wonder if these people have ever read The North Wind in the Sun. What we do know is that Maria received a letter from a person who took the name Beatrice. She sure is shy for a mysterious person, entrusting Maria with a letter, then hiding away even now, when she could have just appeared and talked to us directly. Hey, Battler-kun. Do you really think a person called Beatrice actually exists? Who knows? Does it really seem like a false name? And she's grandfather's representative, so she was given permission to take the name of a witch from her delusions? No, that's not what I meant. Right now, there's a total of 18 people here on Rokujima. Do you think that there's a 19th person? Are there really a full 18 people on this island right now? Wondering about that, I began counting on my fingers, and it really did come out to that many. Do I think a 19th person exists? What exactly do you mean? Just what I said. The person who lent Maria the umbrella supposedly wasn't one of us 18. So isn't it natural to assume that a 19th person exists? And that person lent Maria the umbrella? Yeah, it sure looks that way. Then where exactly is that person now? In the very least, she would have been on the island when it started raining. And ever since that time, the weather has been growing progressively worse, so taking a boat out would be pretty much impossible. In that case, the person must still be on the island, hiding from the rain somewhere, and without any of us spotting her. True, we've all been randomly prowling around all over the mansion and the guest house, but no one has bumped into a 19th person. But the island is huge. I don't know if you have the places to take shelter from the rain other than the mansion and the guest house. At about this time, I began to realize what direction Kurie's suspicions were taking us in. Kurie-sen was denying that a 19th person existed. Beatrice was one of us 18. In other words, she thought someone we knew well was tricking us. If Beatrice is who she claims, she would surely be the most honored of guests, the most honored of confidants trusted by Grandfather. There's no way Grandfather wouldn't give that person a warm reception. She'd surely been ushered into the mansion. However, we haven't seen anyone like that. Wait a second, isn't this line of reasoning a bit too hasty? Sure, no one spotted this person, but that doesn't mean you can't deny the possibility that a 19th person exists, right? Maybe for some reason they landed on the island stealthily and been hiding ever since. It's what they call a devil's proof. It's easy to prove that something exists. If this Beatrice appeared in front of us, and says hi, then it's settled. But it's impossible to prove that no 19th person exists. Yes, Battler-kun, your way of reasoning isn't bad. In our current situation, there isn't enough information to accept or deny that a 19th person exists. But if you spin the chessboard around and think that way, we can deny the existence of a 19th person with near certainty. Spin the chessboard around. One of Kurie-sen's favorite phrases. I've been influenced by those words and use them myself from time to time. When you get stuck trying to move in chess and shogi, and by spinning the board around and looking at everything from your opponent's standpoint, you often see a new strategy that will give us the proper upper hand. It means turning things around and putting yourself in your opponent's shoes. You see, let's say the 19th person called Beatrice actually exists. That person must have managed, without being seen or anyone, to stealthily arrive on this island and remain hidden ever since. Maybe they had some reason, okay? In that case, why did they go to all the trouble of appearing before Maria and handing her the letter? It really was a contradiction. If they had some reason for hiding themselves, then why would they have stayed hidden the whole time? Then they should have stayed hidden the whole time. But even so, they appeared openly in front of Maria. Then, wait, Maria said it herself. She said the witch made her a messenger. Maybe that's because Maria was the youngest and looks the most obedient? Why would they need a messenger? If they just wanted a letter delivered to the family conference, they could have mailed it. If they mailed it to each of the 4 siblings, no one would be able to ignore it. There's no need for this person to carry it themselves and secretly deliver it by hand. Yeah. Wait, I skipped that last part. That does sound pretty weird. In the first place, if Beatrice existed and wanted to make her presence known to everyone, then she could have just openly presented herself to all of us. Despite that, she chose the vague method of appearing to a little girl called Maria-chan and only gave us a vague impression of who she was. Contradiction. Let's go a little deeper, shall we? She appeared in front of Maria, trying to give us the impression that a 19th person existed, and yet she still hasn't appeared before us as hiding somewhere at this very moment. Think about those contradictions. You gotta keep things in mind when you spin the chessboard around. In short, if a person wants to leave us an impression that Beatrice exists as a 19th person, what might their goal be? If the person wanted to hide, then they wouldn't have made their presence known. If they wanted to show themselves, they wouldn't have used the roundabout approach of entrusting someone with a letter. Which means, it's simple. Beatrice is one of the 18 people. That's why they want to create the illusion that there's more than 18 people. The 19th person was revealed so spectacularly. If someone were to profit from this, it wouldn't be some 19th person in hiding. It'd be one of the original 18 people. Of course, their reasoning is full of holes. If you turn over even a few of its premises, it'll simply fall apart. But I'm almost completely certain it's correct. It's starting to feel pretty creepy. Someone lent Maria the umbrella and handed her the letter? Supposedly none of the 18 did this, and Beatrice was hidden among those 18. What was this person planning, hiding their true form and pretending to be Beatrice? I suspect it might have been Maria-chan play-acting, but the contents of the message were extremely complicated, and it's hard to imagine Maria-chan writing that herself. However, I can't deny the possibility that Maria-chan is working together with someone. Wait a second. Maria-chan is a 9-year-old kid, right? What could she possibly be planning with, and with whom? And what about her straightforward, overtly honest, obedient nature? Yes, I also understand what kind of person Maria-chan is, but that's exactly why I think it's possible. That girl's a dreamer who can't help but look and blindly accept the existence of witches. So if a person appeared in front of her and claimed to be the witch Beatrice, Maria-chan would happily swallow it up, I think. So you're saying that if someone disguised himself by wearing that fancy dress from the portrait, tricking Maria wouldn't be that hard? Of course, with that reasoning, all of us women would be the primary suspects. Anyway, who did Maria-chan encounter? Learning the details of that question would be the best key to solving this riddle. But this key has been firmly locked away inside Maria-chan's heart. Everyone denied the existence of the witch without listening to her, brigading her too much with questions about who Beatrice actually was. She probably won't open her heart to adults now. In the dim hall in front of the portrait of Beatrice, Maria was sobbing. Oh, no one believes I met Beatrice. Even though I showed them the letter Beatrice gave me, they still don't believe. Anyway, Maria-chan's holding the key to whether Beatrice is one of the 18 people or a 19th person. Maria's stubborn, right? When that girl gets angry, it's pretty hard to make her feel better. I think a kid like you would be better at cheering her up than an adult like me. After she's feeling better, try asking. I know you don't care about all this back and forth stuff about the inheritance, Don't you feel that Western Mansion mystery situation's exciting? Who in the world is this person who gave Maria-chan the letter? It makes your intellectual curiosity ache. You're actually pretty tough considering you're still excited after being dragged through the endless money talk. Those can be pretty amusing. I said, shrugged, ex- exasperate, exasperately. But I did notice something. Cray noticed how dejected I was over overhearing our parents' turbulent discussion, and was probably trying to clear the air. At the very least, I recovered enough to voice my complaints. She wasn't my real mother, so I never felt like calling her mom. But it did make me think she's a real adult. Hey, brats. So this is where you were. Brie, you really took your time fixing your makeup, didn't you? Think I'll have a habit of getting out of touch. I think I'll make a habit of going out to touch up on my makeup too. I'm sorry. A woman's makeup takes a long time. So, how's the discussion been without me? I'm sure everything was all peaceful and harmonious. Brie poked the weak spot under my arm with her elbow. We decided to take a break to cool our heads a little. It looks like we'll have to be at it all night. Makes me want to cry. His way of talking hasn't changed, but it couldn't completely hide his fatigue. I couldn't say I was sympathetic, but he looked pitiful compared to the normal energetic self. Still, this rain's just awful. I really don't want to go back to the guest house. It looks like Natsui-Nisan set things up so we could spend the night here in the mansion. What do we do? We don't need to decide until we're done, right? If you run low on energy and you can't return to our room, then we'll take them up on their offer. Right. You can think about it later. What about you, Battler? If I stayed, just get in the way. I'll be nice and go back over there. I see. You go back soon? I don't know. Be lonely to head back by myself. I'll gather all the kids and then we'll head out. Okay. You go do that. Also, Battler, you won't be going to sleep that easily tonight, right? Yeah, I'll probably be up talking with the cousins. Sounds like we'll be up all night. Is there a problem with that? I see. If you're still awake when the adults' discussion is over, I want to have a little talk as a family. What? That doesn't sound like you. Apparently, Krie-san was thinking the same thing. What are you talking about? She asked him in a small voice. It looked like Krie-san didn't have a clue what Dad may need here. I also want to talk to you about it, Krie. I'll tell you later. Don't ask now. Please. I don't know how anyone neglects the concept of family as much as this old bastard, and how he's saying we're gonna have a talk as a family. Both Krie and I couldn't help but get wide-eyed. Don't look so terrified. I'm the one who should be terrified. After all. At that point, he swallowed his words for an instant. Even though putting on airs of importance wasn't much like Dad. You're freaking me out, Dad. Everyone in our family's gathered here now, right? Make a big deal out of it and spit it out. Tonight, I will probably be killed. There was a huge crash of thunder. It must have been really close. Dad's expression, brightly illuminated by the lightning, was burned into my eyes. Dad's face, which also looked so sure of itself, always wore a taunting expression, strangely frail in a way I couldn't really explain. It was so worn out that he looked like a different person. What? What are you talking about? That doesn't sound like you. I agree. What happened? You look so timid all of a sudden. It's not like you. I'm gonna go fix my makeup, too. Don't follow me. Dad turned away weakly. After that, only Krie and I were left, still wide-eyed. What did he say? Tonight he'll be killed? You don't think that mysterious letter scared him, did you? He's been watching too many serial murder movies. Krie didn't answer my light-hearted words and continued to stare at my dad disappearing back. Battler, when you told Rudolph's son to spill the beans right away, he left without telling us anything. Even though he said he had something to say to both of us, he didn't answer you. Why? Spin the chessboard around. What do you see? Well, he said he wanted to talk, but he couldn't. That's a contradiction. Well, can you see something by looking from Dad's perspective? Yes, I can see something. He wants to talk about something. However, he doesn't have the courage to bring it up. So it actually means chase after me, talk to me, and ask me about it yourself. By saying don't follow me, he actually means the opposite. He actually means follow me and force me to answer. Seriously, what a spoiled brat. What? Can you really call that reasoning? It's ridiculous. Can great private and police detectives deduce the emotions and feelings between men and women? They can't, right? Figuring out feelings of the opposite sex is even more advanced art than exposing the tricks in difficult crime cases. If you ask me, romance novels are such deeper mystery than masterpiece mystery novels. I see. Is that how it is? I'll stand alongside that spoiled brat. He normally loves to bluff, but tonight he's completely tired of that heated discussion. He probably wants someone to lean on at the moment, and responding to that need is the role of his partner. Sounds passionate. Then I'll leave that old bastard in your hands. Yes, leave it to me. I call out to Crease and departing back. Departing back. What? I wanted to say thanks. Thanks to you, my gloomy mood has cleared up a lot. That's good. Communication is important. After answering with a wink, Crease followed after Dad. Nuts. Okay. We're in a new scene. New scene. I'm gonna save it there. Been going for about an hour and 40 minutes. My throat's getting a little tired. But I'm enjoying this. It's a lot of reading, but I'm liking this. And, does Beatrice exist? Is she just a plot by another one of the family members? What the fuck is going on? How'd they even get the fucking ring? Because we saw Kinzo throw the ring out into the wilderness. What the fuck is going on? I don't know. I love it. Let's just say the next. We still got a little bit more before things really start kicking off, but in the next couple streams, things are gonna start getting real heated. And I hope you guys will enjoy the ride. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time.